One. How are you doing, everybody? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, founder of the highest paid part-time job in the Real Options Trading Academy. If you're watching this particular broadcast, let me know where you're coming from, what part of the country. Hit a one in the comment, make sure you can get our audio. And I'm here with a really long-awaited conversation that I wanted to have, and I'm here with Chastity. And what we're going to kind of talk about is how to go from a successful option student to a successful option instructor during the pandemic. And we're going to give you kind of like a story and a timeline of Chastity and how she was able to transition from somebody that was kind of outside of the market, go into the market, have a large level of success, build her confidence up, and then put her in a position to also help other people get that success and kind of get her story, get her transition, and also get her to kind of communicate what she has to offer the particular community, because I really believe her perspective on the market, the way she sees the market, the intelligence she brings to the market is something that's going to be very valuable and can be very beneficial with you if you're looking to change your life for the positive and you want to try to understand how to use the financial markets to do that. So Chastity, how you doing? I'm really glad to have you here today.
I'm good. I appreciate you reaching out to me so we can, come together. And I've
been
looking forward to this.
Okay, no problem. I really appreciate you coming on. I understand, people busy, they got what they got going on, but I really appreciate you taking the time today to come through for us. So really quickly, let's go ahead and get into it, right? So what I want to tell the audience is that what you see scrolling underneath the particular broadcast is her IG link. So if you want to reach out to her, you can IG link her. I will put her Calendly banner up a little bit later in the broadcast, so you get both of those if you continue to watch the show. And I want to really encourage you to reach out to her because she can really help you get to where you want to go in these markets, because her perspective of the market is kind of uncanny, it's kind of different, but it's also very effective, and it's definitely for the right person. So let's get into these questions. So Chastity, how did you get into the options trading space?
Facebook really led me there. I had limited exposure in college, but once I started looking for it, it found me. My Facebook timeline just started picking up with you, other traders in the market, other courses that came around, and that just really wasn't something I wanted just to get into a course. So once I started seeing real people make money and I'm seeing the receipts they were posting, it piqued my interest. And then I was like, now I need to find the perfect person to get with to teach me that.
Okay. And so how were you primarily seeing that content? Was it primarily on social media? You was getting it word of mouth? Like, how were you getting exposed to
it? It just started on my feed. I don't know if it was a conversation or just a, word of mouth or God presence. Like, I was looking for something else to get out the rat race. I knew that I did not want to work to 65 and retire. And I'm like, so, okay, what's a better way? I like money. I want to get in. And when I heard you say that, and you always say they stop trading my time for money, I was very intrigued. And that's what led me to you and wanted to find out how can I make money this way.
Okay. And so without getting into a lot of your personal business, I mean, I know, because I know a little bit about you, you're very accomplished academically. Could you give people some little bit of insight on your academic background, your professional background?
Yes, I have a BS in chemistry and a PharmD in pharmacy. So I was already working in retail pharmacy, and that's me by trade. So when I found options, it just triggered a light bulb because I like charts. I already like I come in from a science background, like what's the hypothesis? What are we trying to get to? So that gave me my perspective on the market and allowed me to be, very profitable because it piqued my interest. It wasn't just something I'm going to do this to make money, because we can go out here and find any way to make money. But this was a way to make it, and it actually be something I could be passionate about.
Okay. And so because you come out of such I would say a high level academic background, you're very accomplished. What made you think that, the options market or the financial markets could be maybe an alternative to what I'm trying to get, as opposed to just staying amongst the professional academic track that you are currently on?
I looked at it I researched it. Once I started researching and seeing how much you could actually make and the time that was put into it, I spent about 6 months before I reached out to anybody to teach me. So it took that background. I didn't just jump in this and say, this is going to be my path, or I'm just going to put, balls to the wall, because I knew nothing about the stock market other than, again, one semester in college. But once I started doing my research, once I started listening to your videos, coming back to your page, and then listening to the other people that start popping up on my feed, I'm like, if they can do this, I believe I can do it too. Because I'm an academic achiever. So I don't think this should be that hard. And if it's that hard, I want to tackle it. It's driven by, just a skill set. It's nothing I found that anybody was a genius or doing anything unnatural. So I was like, I should be able to accomplish that.
Okay. And I want to let the audience know if you have any questions for Chastity, even for me, put them in the comments and we'll definitely go through them probably at the end of this particular broadcast. So make sure if you have any questions about anything, put them in there. We'll get back to them. So the next question I want to ask, and I really appreciate that content, is that, so as you got into the option space, what are some of the things that you learned that help you become a successful trader?
To be present. Before I got into it, I was learning. Take all the information from those who have come before you. So all the traders that I learned from you, Leslie, Court, I was just seeing they would tell me things to do, and I would put them down as rules, and I stuck by those rules because y'all have already gone through and made all the mistakes. So I found if I just avoid those mistakes, I can be very successful because they know what they're doing. Even if I could not afford to be I didn't care to pay. I didn't know the value of what I was getting before. I signed up for every free session I could, and I was there. So people saw me and they saw me work, and I asked as many questions that I could get. And most people go looking to see what can I gain. They'll just do it. I'm just there. I'll take notes, but I'm really looking for what am I missing? What may I ask the next day? So that's what I look for, and I'd reach out to people. I was in a lot of people inboxes trying to learn, trying to find out. I think I messaged you for like 2 weeks before it was just like, hey, either you're gonna jump in or you're not. And I was ready. I knew it was you were the one to teach me.
Okay. And so let me see my follow-up. So in some of the things that you learned, what were some of the pitfalls that you experienced and overcame as you were going through kind of like your learning transition?
Consistency was a hard struggle. You get in those, I just say lucky pattern streaks and you do well, and then you don't know what to do when you mess up. So journaling started me to find out what I messed up on. And that just became one of the tools that I give every student. Start journaling. Once I started looking back at the trades, I would just like, oh, I did bad, go away, not even try to digest what was the problem. And that was a key, indicator to like, how can I reverse this problem? Because it's not a bad trade. You may have been early, you may have been late, not the proper guidance or volume of open interest, and that may be ahead of people. But if you just didn't have the proper preparation for the trade, go back and find out what that was, and you can correct it the next time.
Okay. So in consistency and journaling, I want to ask you some questions, go a little bit deeper. In your consistency, did you find that you were having a hard time stringing together successful trades, or you were having a hard time being consistent in your application or your learning? Like, what about the consistency were you having challenges with?
Applying different skills. The more skills I put on, and I guess I was trying to take on the market too much. Once you find your lane, if you're good on a Monday or a Tuesday, only trade Monday or Tuesday. I think I was trying to attack everything I'd learned every day of the week. And those setups might not be there every day. You may run puts on Wednesday. You may run put calls on Monday. And once I got a good pattern down, that allowed me to be a better trader. So I stress it a lot for my traders to come in, find out who they are, what kind of trader you are. Because I'm not trying to put you in a box to trade like me. Let me see how you trade, and then we'll add in some tips to that.
Okay. And then when it comes to like journaling, what were some of the challenges you were facing? Because one thing some people do is that they trade and they don't keep like any record, they don't keep any archives. Get a little bit deeper in some of the challenges you were faced with journaling and how you figured out, okay, this is probably going to be something that I'm being challenged with, and here's how I can overcome it and put myself in a position to be successful.
First, when I journal, I put the trade, what ticker I got, the volume, the open interest, the day I entered. So I started saying I wasn't buying enough time on certain tickers. And then the entry, I was getting into early. I wasn't waiting for the market to settle. So I wouldn't be wrong in the direction, but the early entry put me so far out of the money because it got away from me. So I started to find a particular time frame to enter, and that became more consistent for me. So once I learned my time frame to enter, all of my trades, I started getting 90%. I would mess up, less times. And that's what we go for. We're not going to hit home runs on every trade. And then I start pulling back the percent that I wanted to take. Instead of trying to hit the home run every time, I just want to get on base every day or every week.
Okay, that makes sense. And so do you think that your science background kind of put you in a position where you kind of understood the importance of like record keeping and things of that nature?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I always see any trader that I know that's not pretty consistent or have struggles never kept a journal.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. And so then I want to ask you now, in your impression, based on your experience and kind of things that you've seen since you've been doing your consulting, one of the things I noticed when I came into this space is that we got a lot of information, but we got a really low success percentage, especially over time. And so I try to figure out a way to solve that particular problem. So now you have a perspective because you've been a trader and then you started being able to reach out and help other people. Why do you think so many people struggle to become successful traders?
Again, it's the identity. They don't know who they are when they start trading. They get behind whatever guru or they try to mimic their professor, and they really have to find their own lane. They need to sit down and evaluate for at least a year to know who they are. Do they trade well in January and February of these seasonal depression months? Do they trade well on Monday or Tuesday coming off a Sunday? Do they trade better at the end of the week coming into a Friday? So once they get that individualized approach and trade in their own lane, they become better. And then stop in trading within the budget that they have. How much should I start with is always a question. How much can you afford? And that's how we can know how you can trade instead of chasing tickers and trying to put their budget to the ticker. Find a ticker that matches your budget. And there's thousands of them out there, so they're out there.
Yeah, definitely. And so then, why do you think in this space people have a desire to mimic other people's trades based on, okay, well, this person does it this way, and that's how I want to do it to try to be successful, even though that might not necessarily work for them? Why do we think there's such a strong demand or such a strong desire to want to do it? Kind of like, I would say, be a identity trader where I'm gonna trade just like this other person because they're successful.
More like the follow the leader mentality. We see a teacher or we see the profession that we want, and we're learning to mimic or clone what they do. Any profession you do, you go into a trade skill, you go into a professional, you're giving somebody that's a mentor or somebody to train you, and they've been through that before, and you're only allowed to repeat that skill. So that's what we've been trained to do, is repeat the skill. But when it comes to trading, you have to change your mindset and become an individual and make that work for you. And most people don't like to stand alone. So they're like, well, I trade like so-and-so, or we do this. Well, I say these are more, you have, it's only your brokerage account. It's not you and so-and-so and that guru on that brokerage account. It's just you. So they have to find, break that demon of who they are and how they trade and trade like themselves.
Okay. And then the next thing you want to talk about, because, we had a conversation and you told me, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, so I'm going to paraphrase, that, when you really trying to get good at this space, you spend an extended amount of time just learning. Why do you think so many people are hesitant to take that time to learn, but they want to just come into the market and all they try to figure out how to turn the market into a piggy bank?
That's the microwave effect. We want it quick and easy. They don't want to sit in the oven. So that's that's a 2-hour lasagna for a 5-minute, ready meal. So that's what they want. And that's what I look to give them. I mean, they don't have to go through that, but they're going to be more successful if they do. I tell them all the time, I took a year of paper trading. I took a year of learning. Like, I went through the pandemic and I learned it. And then I said, this is something I'm going to commit to. And I set a timeline. And then I went into committed to more training because I wasn't ready. I had great amount of sets in the beginning. And then I failed. Well, I won't say I failed. I had bad trades. And so I stopped trading. I had to regroup. It wasn't to keep throwing money into it. It was to paper trade and learn a new skill and watch patterns. And that whole year allowed me to do that.
Okay. And so that's really important. I want to go a little bit deeper into that. What allowed you as a person to be able to accept, well, you know what, maybe I need to kind of stop, reassess what I'm doing, and come up with a new plan, a new strategy that's going to put me in the best position to be successful, as opposed to quitting and then going and trying to do something else, like maybe, I don't know, something else. What kind of made you say, let me really reassess what I'm doing, come up with another strategy, and really own my own failures, and not necessarily failures, but challenges in this space, and try to come up with a different way to get the success I desire?
Because I saw people around me doing it, then people that look like me doing it. So it was a motivation there. So once I saw it, and there were people out there to help, that was also motivating to know that there are other traders out here that have these communities and want to build you up, and not just say, are you a whack trader, or, you messing up, or that was just horrible. People that are supporting you, what did you have problems with, coming in with questions, and even your approach, you always ask questions and lead us to an answer instead of just giving us like, this is the solution, or this would have been the better trade. Let's walk our way into that better trade. And that's why my science background came. I can work this out. I'll take some time off. I'll trade in between and get my consistency down, and then start trading more. Once I got that, once I created a trading plan and stuck with it, the chips fell into place. But a lot of people are not going to take that time to do it. And then again, it's a fear of themselves. Take the time. A year, most people don't have a year, but I looked at it. I can either pay it into the market or pay it into myself with studying.
Yeah, definitely. And I normally encourage people, I may do a video about this later, is they should look to consider maybe taking 2 years to where they really start to get comfortable in this space, because a lot of the skills you got to develop as a trader, a lot of it is a lot of self accountability and a lot of ownership of yourself. And we've been kind of programmed to not necessarily want to do that. And if you don't possess it in this space, it could be very challenging for you to have any long-term success. Definitely. And so I really,
there was another piece that I want to add was trading. I didn't have to deal with anybody else. I'm not coming into here to sell you a product. I'm only dealing with me and my laptop and my phone. So that was very, motivating for me, because I wanted that. I don't want to have to get up. We've seen supply chain shortages here. We've seen the world shut down, where even if you have the best product, if you can't get it to a company, you can't make any money. So I saw the market never shut down. They propped it up. They kept feeding into it. So I was like, this is kind of a guarantee. Nothing's a guarantee, but this is pretty much a fail safe. They're not going to let it drop. It was here before I got here. It's going to be here when I leave.
Yeah. And I want to really encourage people that's watching this that maybe haven't gotten the success that they desire, is if you can kind of look at it similar to what Chastity did, and maybe sometimes move a little slower to get to the goal. The old story about it's a turtle and a rabbit. And, the rabbit was speeding and the turtle just was very methodical, and they eventually won the race. That I think a lot of us are trying to get somewhere in this trading space so fast that we kind of we hit a lot of pitfalls and we get taken out of the game. And the way I like in which you did it is that you were very similar to me, is that you had a goal and it just kept working to get to that goal. You kept milestoning it. And even when you hit challenges, you just recuperated and got back into it. And now you're reaping the benefit of success. And now you can just keep building off of that. And I think people really want to kind of take that into account. I think that's a really important point, is you weren't trying to 90-day, 120-day your way to this large degree of success. You understood it's going to be a pattern, and it may just become from your academic background. A lot of your academic accomplishments, they come over time, not necessarily really quickly. So you might have already had that mindset, but I want people to really take that point, because I meet a lot of people, they come in with a lot of enthusiasm, and then when they don't get that success, they drop off. And I wish they wouldn't do that, because maybe if they stuck with it, but we're a lot more methodical about it, in year 2 and 3, they would get that massive amount of success that they were looking for in year 1. But sometimes you just got to stick around long enough and the success will come, but you just got to keep going. And I just think I really want people to really understand that if you watch this on video, maybe replay it, because I didn't get here overnight. Chastity's telling you she didn't get here overnight. And it just sometimes take time to get the success you desire, to where you start getting a little comfortable in the space.
I definitely agree. It's the rabbit. I mean, take your time, allow it to flow, and take the pressure off yourself. I mean, start small. If you can build $100 to $500 and it take you 6 months, that's very consistent. Most people can't do that. 10% day over day, and you get there. Most people don't know this. I have a 4-year exit plan. I'm teaching you, and I still got 4 years. So if your exit plan is less than mine, think about what you're doing. Think about how much time you got to commit. I mean, I was up maybe 3 hours every night. Probably 300 days out the year. Yeah. 3 nights. After everybody goes to sleep, 3 more nights, midnight to 3, or 11 to 2. So if you're not committing that, don't try to speed ahead of it. If you got to put in that same work. You don't have to put in just as much, but you got to put in some work. It's not just going to fall into your lap. Now, we're able to condense the information and give it to you. And that's what I've come to do, condense some of the things that I've learned, but you still got to put in the work.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you said it, because, we know a lot of really success, and every successful trader that I know has put a lot of work in to become successful. It's like with anything in life, anything you're good at, whether it's positive or negative, you put a lot of work into it. And so that's something I really want to understand, because I saw from, asking Lance, well, how'd you get so good at charts? And she explained to me, I studied this every day for years. So I didn't have an expectation where I was going to just come in just because I got something from her, I was going to be able to get it in 60 days. She coming in the gate, let me know, okay, I put a certain amount of time. That's how I got so good at this. So even though she can accelerate my learning, I still got to understand I'm going to have to put some time into it, because that's how she got the understanding. And so that's something I really want people to understand, is that that time investment can be very powerful. And even though we can accelerate where you're going with our perspective and maybe our process, you still got to be willing to put that time in. So I think that's really important. Now, we're now reaching this particular point to where, okay, you figured out how to get some success. You've had some success, and then now you start thinking about, let me potentially start reaching out to other people to see, can I help them? So what was kind of like the inflection point the way you said, you know what, I'm going to start my consulting business and trying to start putting myself in a position to help other people?
I reached out to my best friend to see if I could show her how to learn. And once she was successful after, a couple of conversations, I was like, okay, this is beneficial. And I put it out there for free and nobody took to it. And again, I've learned from you in the game, nobody appreciates free. So I had to come back to my game plan, make sure I was offering something I thought could help people. Again, I didn't want to teach and I didn't want to be an entrepreneur, but there is a price for your time. I learned that from you as well. So once I identified that, I put a price tag on it and started one by one and showing people, showing receipts, showing wins, showing fails, and showing them I have a consistent pattern here. Here's something different. This is one-on-one. You're not going into an automated course, or you're not sitting here on a 6-week program. I'm going to take my hand and hold yours, walk through this process. And I think a lot of people find more comfort in it. And they used to have that, but now they don't. Most of the time, most successful traders, time you get so much money trading, it's obsolete to commit to one-on-one. And so I had to find it in myself first. Am I going to make this commitment? How long am I going to make this commitment to people? And then I can pursue it as a business.
Okay. So let me ask you, what made you feel like you even wanted to do that? Because you really don't have to. You at a certain level to where you can get your money out of the market. So what made you say, you know what, I'm gonna try to help somebody else get some of the same kind of success that I've got?
It's about the passion and helping people. Again, I listen to you all the time, and I don't see enough of us in this space. It's a lot of us. It's still not enough. So when I look at my community and I see the opportunities it can present, again, the market and brokerages don't care what color you are. They don't care what's your background. It's accept you if you learn how to do something, go in their market and take that money and come back out. And I think that's very beneficial in different communities, the African-American community, the homeless community, just to get those people a leg up if they're able to be taught. So I was like, let me start with the people who have the money to do it and probably venture this thing off into getting grants and to help those that are less fortunate where they can make a living for themselves as well.
Definitely. I think that's a really good idea because there's a lot of communities that really don't understand how powerful this space is. And we talked about before is that a lot of us have kind of been taught we shouldn't even be over here. And I see why, because I see how powerful this space is, the ability to change people's lives. And you and I know a lot of people that look like us that are successful in this space, while the narrative on the mainstream is still that you can't be successful in this space. So
Right.
It's really interesting is that I know almost like a secret community of people that look like me that's killing it in the markets. And they're not real big on social media. They don't have these real big profiles, and they literally killing it in the markets. And that's kind of what gave me the confidence to realize I could do it. And then I try to build that confidence in other people. And so it's very powerful because, like you said, it's not enough in this space. And we know how this space can change people's lives, because once you kind of look at the world a different way, because you can function in these markets, you really, to me, start becoming a lot more effective about kind of like how to move in this particular society.
Definitely. And it's not just in the market. Once you take the perspective and you start not letting the world and economy revolve around you, and now you're included in it. I never listened to a Fed meeting. I never know how it swayed the market. I didn't know those individuals that were there until I got into the market. And now that I know, I'm paying attention to what they're doing. I'm paying attention to how politicians are working. I don't think that's a step I'll take, but it's definitely, once you get here, you want to put your feet and your power somewhere else. It's not just about having the money. You can get the money, but what are you going to do beyond that? Are you just going to, again, sit with your clan and your little your four family or whatever, as an individual? Are you going to sit here and do nothing with it, or just sit here high on a horse while everything around you break down? I can't live like that.
I feel you. Okay, so let me ask you. So in this particular trading space, everybody, we got all kind of situations going on. We got some real characters out here. What makes you different from other people in the trading space?
I'm very humble, and I'm about the person. I don't come in this trying to sell you. I could care less about your money. And that's what brought me to you. We chatted for about 2 weeks, and you were like, look, it's $60. You could get it or not. This is not gonna break or hurt me. And I thought that's what made me tied to it. I'm like, he doesn't care, but he's gonna teach me, and I want that. And that's the type of representation I want to give back to people. I don't need your money. You need me to teach you. You need something here. I'm gonna hold your hand. I don't have any guarantees for you, but I do have a commitment to help you get where you can be a successful trader. And once you get outside of being a successful trader, you're going to be a capital manager. So we're moving. You're going to start off as trading, and it's just going to be, I'm just here to make money, or I'm going to get this. And I put you on a stair ladder to change your mindset to now I'm managing capital. Do I really want to take this trade? How much can I win or lose? Put you in the control of it and change the mentality of I'm trading and I'm gambling to I'm trading. I have a plan. I have a statistical approach, and I'm in control of how much I win or lose. If you go to the machine, put your $100 in there, they control how much you get back, not you, unless you take your money out. When you go into the market, you can decide, I'm gonna put $100 into this ticker. If I drop 20%, I'm getting out. I'm up 30, I'm in it, or I'm staying in. So I let them know you're in control of your money, not someone else, and give them those tools to keep building on. This is not just a one step. I teach you one day and then go figure it out. They're able to speak to me one-on-one. They're inside of my private groups. They also can reach me doing trading hours. That's another thing I didn't see that a lot of traders do. They're so focused on trading every day. And once you become a better trader, you don't have to trade every day. You can be available to individuals for questions. I had a student that waited 2 weeks in a trade when they could have just picked up the phone and called me or send me a message. And I was like, that's something they need to have access to that'll make me more valuable than the next person teaching out here or whatever course. All of them are great. I tell people all the time, I won't have a YouTube channel. I would never make an automated course. Mine is very individualized. I want you to have that one-on-one help. If that's what you want, I got other people to recommend them to and send them to you. But if they do want that one-on-one approach while it's still available, they should reach out to me.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right about it, because I remember you talking to me first about DraftKings, and I had never heard of that. And when you kind of gave me a narrative about it, I said, you know what, this make a lot of sense. But what I saw was that, you had a good understanding of like kind of how to look at a company, how to look at an opportunity, because I had never thought about these online like gambling brokerages. So when you kind of gave me your narrative for that, because I remember that, because I was back when I was still in Orlando, I kind of was like, okay, she got a good understanding of like what could create a good market for a company. Even though they have some challenges, I still think that space is going to be very powerful because of what you told me. Everybody likes to gamble so much. So the company's not going to go nowhere. It's just which company kind of wins in that particular space.
And that's what I didn't get before. And that came with research, with not being biased on your position. You need to have at least 1 or 2 or 3 points for or against it. They were a great company, but again, they didn't secure their market. Other people came out and they did it a lot faster. I mean, you got even here in Texas, you can't use DraftKings here. You can find other betting apps, but you can't bet here. And that's where those other companies picked up on. Once MGM and these bigger places that were already betting, they just decided to go online. Who cares about DraftKings? People want to go where the big money is, where the box offices are. They're going to go to the MGMs and those other spaces. So they kind of lost that there. But again, you just allow me, and listening to you and then finding that when I'm trading, not to be biased, picking a side and playing both sides. Because I don't care whether the market's bullish or bearish, just which way is going to make me money. Whatever the news come out is going to make me money. I didn't care about the whole, old situation. So I was just looking at it like, oh, okay, that's not going to make me no money on Monday. So I don't care. We can move on. Did y'all check what the futures are looking like? Yeah. I was on to the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's good you got that perspective, because that's what I was really trying to help people do. Because one thing I noticed is that we have these things going on around us, and we invest in those a lot of times emotionally, and they don't benefit us financially, and we still are taking the economic short end of the stick. And so I was really happy that you was able to kind of get that understanding, is that, how can me and my people benefit from this from an economic standpoint? It doesn't mean that you don't want to help people. You do, but you understand I got to try to build some economic wherewithal. And so your understanding of that is really important, because you can look at a scenario like DraftKings, understand, they weren't able to secure their market. But even though gambling is really, really profitable inside our society, because how many people like to gamble, especially on sports wagering, one of these companies is going to win. But, you did better than Kathy Wood, because she was still buying that, I think, when it was going down. She was still accumulating, but, she got her own trading philosophy. So we're going to let her do what she do.
Yeah. And that's again, you have to be your own trader. Don't follow the crowd. You preach the crowd all the time, and I still haven't finished it. But it's let me know I can follow my own tone. I don't have to take every trade that somebody else puts out, and I have my criteria when I do trades that other people have. But again, once I started reverse engineering a lot of trades before, and that's what I did throughout that previous year. How were people winning? Don't tell me how you won. I just want to go, how did you get there? So that became my strategy. And shout out to Mecca. I had to learn SPY. When she retired herself and it took SPY, I was like, I want you to teach me. And she didn't teach. So SPY was my number one. I'm like, if people can make money every day, I don't have to search the market for a ticker every morning. I want that ticker. That's the ticker. I'm a master. And if I can show other people if you can pick that one thing, because most people can't focus on 5. They probably only gonna focus on 3. You definitely can't listen to me more than 2 or 3 hours. So I'm like, 1 hour, get you one good ticker, and let me show you how to break this down. You learn how to work that, you can feed it out to other things. But let's master the best one, and then you can go into the little intricate parts.
Yeah, definitely. You're right about that, because I can't, and that's one something about me is that people came out of my program and became very good shorter term traders, which I'm not really that good at. And I also am definitely not good at trading indexes. Like, I don't think I made one trade on an index, maybe some ETFs, but none of the major indexes ever, because I don't have any idea what I'm doing. And so that's something that I'm really happy is that they didn't try to make themselves into me. They just took the fundamentals and made themselves into what they wanted to be. And that works for their situation. So it works for my situation to maybe take longer term trades, maybe take more swings. It may work for somebody else's situation to take shorter term, and then now they can go and find the people that want to take shorter term trades, because that will work for their situation, and teach them how to do that, which I can't really teach people how to do, because it's not something I know how to do, because I don't do it. So I'm happy that you and Mecca was able to figure it out, because I couldn't tell somebody right now how to trade the SPY. I look at it to understand where I think the overall market's going, but I don't think I've traded the SPY or the QQQ or even the Dow at any time in my trading career.
But again, that's the type of people we are. We only got a short term. That long term goal, I mean, they like to see it, but that's not where they're at. And I saw most traders, they're not going to look at a trade 2 to 4 weeks out. I'm going to give you that criteria. Most of them are not. Most of them are going to intraday trade. So if this is what you're going to do, let me show you how to do it safely. So that was my main goal. How can you safely day trade? How can I reduce all of my risk to be profitable intraday trading? Trading the most profitable stock, how much income or capital you need to have in your account. So once you get that short-term high, you can move on to the long-term, because you're going to get bored doing this. You're going to get burnt out. So once you get burnt out, you're going to come back to me and say, okay, how can I do this and I not have to look at it every day? That's where I want you to get to. I bring in the traders, let them start being day traders and be who they are. And when they burn out, then they can come back and I can reset them to a 2 to 4 week trader.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then I wanted to ask you, and we're going to kind of reiterate, you have a particular market that you're going after, right? So how does your offer, what you do and your special sauce help people get to what they want as a trader?
My offer allows them to pace their budget. Most people right now are financially strained. We've had a increase in everything. Inflation has caused everything to go up except for paychecks. So my offer allows you to come in on a weekly basis, $75 an hour, and you can pace how you learn without feeling like I'm spending too much money and I'm not making any money, or I can't afford this right now. I'm hitting that person, look, sign up with me, save $25 a week, and then come the next month, you've got money saved to pay me for the session to learn, and then put into your brokerage account. That's just the beginning. We're going to talk for 30 minutes for free, and I'm going to set you up, and you might be already set up to go learn with somebody else. This is just my offer to you. Hey, let's talk first. Let's get to know each other. Make sure my offer works for you before I take any of your money, because if this is not the way you learn, let me send you to somebody who can help you. Outside of that, we have a lot of experienced traders that struggle with consistency, or they just don't have a good pattern or a trade plan. They can make money, but they need some order. So that's where I come in with my more advanced traders, and I give them a strategies call. So we go over my trifecta strategies. Those are 150. You learn the SPY, you turn Tesla and Ford, and then the bonus ATR. Again, my ATR strategy could be sold alone, because you can make money off every ticker with that ATR strategy. So I come in and I pretty much I got all the tools. You got everything to mix. I'm the mixer. So let's come and bring it all together. You got everything in there, but until you get somebody to plug it in, and I'm that person. So I cut on a lot of light bulbs for a lot of people. I teach my beginners just like, my youngest student is 12. So if he can get this market, I tell anybody it's not too hard for you. My oldest student's like 60. So if they can get it, everybody in between these levels, y'all can get it. It's not above y'all. It's about what you're gonna do to get it.
Okay. So let me ask you. So you would have a person, let's say they may feel like, you know what, I got a busy work schedule and I still want to trade, but I feel like my work schedule is going to kind of oppose that. Do you think you have something that could be a good fit for them, or maybe look in another direction?
No, I mean my clients, I work from home, so I'm able to be flexible with my clients. I
Okay.
teach in the evening and on the weekend because that's the schedule that I want. But if they need an afternoon session or a late evening session, I have a truck driver. He gets in. He likes to come on at late, about 11 o'clock. But that's my preference to get in. For those people that like to swing trade, I come in where you're at. If you can trade during the day, let me show you this strategy. If you're not able to trade during the day at all, we got to come up with something else for you. And that's going to be swing trading, but you have to know what you're doing. So I set a plan for them. So that's why, again, I teach individualized. So if I go broad scale, that's not going to work for you. And if I go automated, you're not going to know what to do to fit your personal situation. So I like
Okay.
to know what their setup is. I go on and ask, do you have kids? Are you a morning person? Because if you can't look at the market at all, this is not for you. You might want to pick another time in your life to may pursue this or go in a different direction.
Okay. And then with budget, people always ask, how much money do I need to get into the market? How much money do I need to start? Based on how you teach it, and I know you can't give financial advice, but what would you give us for if in your situation, so use yourself as a template, what range would you be looking for?
I give them at least $100 because I can
Okay.
trade Ford with that number. And Ford is my simplest ticker with the smallest ATR that they can trade and make money with. So I tell them, you come in $200, that gets you in the door. That's your overhead to making an unlimited amount of wealth. That's $100 to start your account in your first session. Can you trade after your first session? Yeah. Would you want to? Probably not. 2 to 4 sessions so you can get an understanding. You know what you're looking for. You have your trade plan down. You looked at the market over a course of time. So again, I always tell them you can trade after your first session. I just don't recommend doing it.
Okay. And so I want to give everybody a heads up. So that's the link to her Calendly, just in case you want to link it up. If you got any questions, hit me up. I got some few more questions I want to ask you before we get out of here. So really quickly so Ash Love asked you, do you have a website?
It's in the process in the making right now. I mean, I just have my calendar, and that's why I'm doing those consults 30 minutes. I probably will move away from those 30-minute consults once the website is up because everything you'll need to be there.
Okay. So Ash, what I would recommend to you to do is if you have any questions, she does essentially a complimentary consult. So I would reach out, get on the Calendly and just talk to her. And any questions you have, you got it there one-on-one. You can just sit down and talk to her. And that'll put you in the best position where instead of you going to the website and looking through it, you can just ask the person directly and they can answer your questions. That's something I used to do. So do you have any, let me ask you a question, right? So let's just get a basic understanding. So how would you say that you kind of perceive the market? Are you more from a fundamental standpoint, or are you more of like a technical standpoint?
My teaching is more technical with
Okay.
fundamental on the weekend or research. I like to let you know, hey, that's your homework to do because my perspective and your perspective are going to be different. Use your research, take that time to look at the market and research those companies. And then I come in and just show you how to mathematically attack the market. And that's been, very successful, works successful for me.
Okay. When you say from a technical, so when you're trading, do you take into account any news, or you just straight, we're gonna just look at the charts and let the charts tell us what we want to know?
I do take into the news. I look at the futures market beforehand. I do look at the FMC calendar to see what's coming up, who's speaking, also the company earnings, that type of situation. But once I know the company, and again, I'm only trading probably a handful of companies, then I can go from there. It doesn't take me a lot. I can get everything I need from the chart based from the company. Like you give me the company name, I can look at the chart, go back in time, and then I do the technicals on it. I don't have to take a real deep dive unless I'm very invested in the company.
Okay. And so your strategy of looking at very specific companies, how do you think that is more beneficial to people than the normal intraday strategy of waking up and trying to find the hot company that day?
Um, I look at it like eating. If you go eat at a fine dining restaurant versus a buffet, you can get a lot of choices, but are all of them going to be great? No. Or I can just pick a fine dining restaurant and get the best thing on the menu. I got the best of the best, the top of it right there. So again, pick what you like. Go from there. For those that screen, I teach an easy screener, or I call it easy, lazy, or sleepy screener, how they can screen the market to pick something going on that day. But I don't do a lot of technicals. It take up too much time out of my day. It's either gonna pop or it's not. And he's either doing it today or tomorrow, or I have a long pull on it and I go out. I teach them how to, when in doubt, zoom out. Look at the whole company over the course of a year and see where it's going.
Okay, that makes sense. So we don't pretty much, I don't think we got any more questions. So I want to ask you before we get up out of here, for somebody that's watching this and they're kind of interested in your offer, do you got any kind of closing remarks to maybe answer any questions they can have, maybe any objections?
Again, most of the first questions are how long does it take me to trade or start making money? You're going to need at least 1 to 4 sessions if you know nothing about the market. If you've been trading and you're an experienced trader, you probably need 1 or 2 sessions. One to go over strategies. It's about an hour call. And then for you to have questions and implement, and then following up about 2 to 4 weeks later. I have students that come in, we've committed to twice a week. And then I have some that do once a week. And then after about a month, they're able to step aside, trade on their own, and then come back. So this is not just a 8-week program. You're done, you move on, you've been successful. This is a consistency thing of you growing, you learning about yourself. And I'm here to keep evaluating to make sure you're an experienced trader. So it's not just, an 8-week program. This is more of a year commitment. Now, how many sessions you will need, you evaluate that and we evaluate it together. But again, if you make that commitment, I'm committed to you and to show you that. Again, the price point will probably be going up, but right now it is an hour per session. If you want the trifecta strategies, it's $150. And again, students make that back on their first trades the next morning. I have, no doubt that people can be successful with those trades.
Okay. So I want to really reiterate to people, invest in the process, invest in yourself, put yourself in the best position to be successful, especially in these high inflationary times. And so, Chastity, I really appreciate you coming on because I knew that you got something that people was looking for. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on. People's always, the intraday trading is really hot. The shorter time frame trading is really hot. And I want to make sure that people get access to a portfolio or a pie of things that can maybe solve their problem. Because I know I'm not the best thing for everybody. People like what they like, and I want to make sure that's what they get. So I really was happy to bring you on because I know it's somebody on my platform where they're looking for something that I don't offer. And I said, well, you know what? I know she probably has something that they're looking for because I just don't offer it. And one thing about me is I don't try to be everybody. I just try to be me. So I try to bring people on that they good at what they do and maybe they can fit in with what somebody else is looking for. So if you don't have anything else, I want to make sure that everybody, that's the Calendly link. We got Chastity's Instagram link earlier in the particular broadcast. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions. I will also put her contact information in the description of this video. This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. I appreciate everybody coming through, and y'all have a good, safe evening.